Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I had a very special guest on the show today. I have Chris Aborqui of Light the Way Business Services. Chris, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. Super excited to have you on and learn a lot more about all the awesome things that you're doing. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Chris so you can hear about some of those things. And who says accounting isn't sexy? Well, he's sure nobody ever has thought about that. But for business owners, it's a necessary evil. Chris, a 24-year Navy veteran, chose to help small business owners navigate the accounting world by providing outsourced bookkeeping, payroll, and tax services. As a small business owner himself in the Virginia Beach area, he understands the struggles business owners face managing their business. Chris, are you ready to speak to the IMCEO community?
Hey, I'm ready to do this. Let's go.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to hear a little bit more on how you got started. Could you take us through what I call your CEO story? We'll let you get started with your business.
Yeah, it started back in 2018. I was about 2 years away from my retirement date. Like I said, I've been in the Navy for the past 24 years. I just retired this year in May. So before that, I was thinking about what did I want to do after spending pretty much my whole entire life almost in the military, and I realized I didn't want to work for somebody else. So I decided that I want to build my own business. So I did have a background in doing tax returns since 2010. So I just kind of built upon that. My mom, she was a business owner, so and she still is. So I started looking at doing her tax return. I was like, you know what, if you actually kept track of everything throughout the year, it would be easier to do your taxes at the end of the year. So that's what I started doing. I started building a bookkeeping business that translated into being able to do the tax returns at the end of the year. So I had 2 years to build it up. So that's what I started doing. I just built it up really slow. And then as soon as I retired, I was able to just walk right into a full-time business that was already supplementing my income of what I was doing in the military. So that's kind of how I got my start.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I love it because so many times people think about businesses and they think that you just kind of snap your fingers and wake up and then you're a successful business, but there's a whole process that goes along with that. And I love that you were able to kind of coincide that with you leaving the military and all the great service that you provided there.
Yeah, it's just the making that transition, going through that retirement class at the end when, people start saying, what am I going to do? I don't even have a college degree. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get out the military. And I didn't want to be in that position. So when I was going through my retirement classes, they call it, how to transition, how to do a job interview. I mean, it's like, I already had all this done. I already knew what I was going to do. I already had a business going. So I was fortunate to plan for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like and you definitely could probably speak to this, especially being in the military, you have the consistency, you have the ability to do those foundational skills that to me make it more likely for you to be successful in business as well.
Yes, and having that leadership background and being able to direct things, and being in the military, there's a lot of precision that needs to be done. So that's the way I just looked at it, being precise of what I needed to do and get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's what it comes down to, getting
Yeah,
things done
yeah.
at the end of the day. So I wanted to ask you now for how you serve the clients that you work with. I know you touched on it a little bit, I did as well. Could you take us through what exactly that process looks like and what are the services you provide for your clients?
Yeah, we focus on small independent businesses. Like, so usually like just one owner and they're pretty much doing everything themselves, or maybe they have less than 5 employees. Pretty small company will say maybe under 10 million a year, under 5 million. A lot of our clients are 100,000aires, I'd like to say, or thousandaires.
Mm-hmm.
But mainly we want to focus on doing their bookkeeping, and everybody that we work with is on a monthly recurring basis. So they sign up, they're on the monthly plan, and so we're able to make contact with them, I'd say, on a monthly basis, so we can let them know where their money's at, where it's going, how much they're making, and what their projected tax liability is going to be. So since we do their bookkeeping, we also can offer to do their tax return. So being able to do that and have those touch points all year just makes it a lot more efficient. And if they need payroll services, then we can also do that. So we're kind of like that one-stop shop where everything can be done right then and there. They don't have to go here or there. Everything's just done right then and there.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And, being small but mighty, it sounds like, and I almost feel like I always talk about the ability to be able to be in your zone of genius, being the thing that you do best is so important. And a lot of times that happens because you have somebody that's able to help you out with your bookkeeping. You have somebody that's able to help you out with so many things. So you can focus on basically providing your product and service and being there and being present for your clients.
Exactly. Yes. Once you start making that money, you want to be able to focus on continuing to make that money and not
Yeah.
having to do all these other things. Once you can pass something off, it's always better to pass it off because, that's going to be a task that you don't have to do anymore.
Yeah, so huge to be able to find those subject matter experts and be able to partner to some degree so that you can continue to kind of bring in that money, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. Focus on that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call your secret sauce. And this could be for yourself or your business or a combination of both. But what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
Just the fact that the way we bundle our services, uh, being able to be that one-stop shop where they don't have to go everywhere else, and working within their budget. So it's not one price fits all. It's whether or not it actually makes sense for them to move on what services. But being able to first focus on their bookkeeping and offer payroll services and tax services all at a monthly fixed rate where they're not having to guess what their bill is going to be because we don't charge by the hour. Everything's just a monthly fixed rate. So I think that's what unique is what's about us because when I first started my business, I was just offering bookkeeping services. And I noticed that when I started, I mean, people were asking, do you do taxes as well? And I was like, yeah, I actually do taxes, but it's not something I was focusing on. But when I put those two together and packaged it together, our business just took off. So I think that,
Nice.
and I'm just a really cool guy.
Yeah, that always helps out as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That's so huge because in addition, of course, being a cool guy,
Yeah.
the fact that you're able to kind of, because I almost feel like even though you might have just done the bookkeeping, you probably had insight on so many different levels, and it made sense just to provide those kind of, I guess, ancillary services because people are already, getting their bookkeeping in order to do their taxes, or they're at a point and they know because of their bookkeeping that they can bring on that next employee. So just having all that information kind of sounds like a natural segue.
Yes, and then it just made sense. I mean, you're already giving everybody all your financial information, then you have to give it to another person, and another person.
Mhm.
It's just keep it all in one spot. I mean, already talking about finances and in your personal and business life, because you kind of see both. Um, it's a big step for somebody to hand that over to somebody. So uh, being
Yeah.
able for somebody to be able to hand that over to us, it's we don't take that too lightly. We want to guard that, and we like that building that trust.
Yeah, and that's a big point that, I'm glad that you spoke to because again, it sounds great to be able to have, 30,000 people or whatever to be able to touch your finances and all those things, but we sometimes forget about that trust that needs to be built up when you're doing something like that, and to be able to have that one-stop shop as you all provide allows you to build that trust, have that trust with you and your team, and then you're able to kind of have most of the things, if not all of the things, taken care of.
Exactly, and that's why we say, we don't price you on transactions, because we don't want to know how many transactions you're. We want to build a relationship business, not a
Yeah.
transactional business. So that's what being able to be a business owner. Of course, you get to choose and pick who you want to work with. So that
Hmm.
comes into big play about if somebody sends me an email or calls me, I'm like, oh man, so and so is calling. I mean, I don't have to deal with that because most of the people that we talk with, it's more about us interviewing them than they are interviewing us for their services.
Hmm.
Do we want to work with you? I mean, do you want to work with your business? Is it what your business is doing? You know, can we help you grow your business? I guess that's what it comes down to. And do we like you?
Yeah, yeah. Are you a cool person too, like Chris? And that's so important because when you start to do really great work and you do and provide really phenomenal services, you start to attract the right people. And in business, we might have in our lives had those bosses or people we didn't want to talk to. We never want to have that when you're putting your heart, your blood, sweat, and tears into the work that you're doing.
Yeah, because you're gonna put in those extra hours. You're gonna be working with these people, so you want to make sure you enjoy work with them, enjoy
Yeah.
talk with them, have similar likes, or maybe things that they do that you don't even know about, and you're like, oh, that sounds cool, and then you just network, and it's just I mean, it's just so incredible. I guess when,
Yeah.
when you think about it, working with cool people or people that you like to work with, and just how much more it just opens up your horizon. Because for us, we're kind of isolated, especially nowadays. But to kind of
Yeah.
venture to other people's worlds and see what they do and hear about what they like to do and people they talk with. I mean, it's just, I think it's exciting. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the best things and the awesome things about being able to kind of partner and work with people and serve people is that you really get to learn, from to see the world, to see the business, see all the things they do from their vantage point, their expertise, things they learn about. And I think it only kind of helps us sharpen our saws, and iron sharpens saw, iron
Yes.
sharpens iron, so to speak. So you get that opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Oh, yeah. Time management. Uh, I mean, that's a big thing. And for me, it was, I'm always like, I always grew up, kind of like the way that my business name, Like the Way. It's just kind of the way I was brought up. I was just, religious background. I want to say religious, but, I believe in God. And just be able to have that servant's heart. So, but you kind of, that it kind of overtakes you and you want to keep on working and get things done, but you have to manage your time and block off days like off your calendar where you say, hey, I'm not available today because I need to focus on building the business or doing things within the business. And I think that's my little hack is just, making sure you have time management and blocking off days where you can just work on your business and do what you need to do and
Yeah, that's
not work on the weekend.
yeah, that too. That's not your vision, and definitely don't do that. But that's so huge. I often say like it's not the number of hours in the day, it's how you use them and how you leverage
Yes.
them. And so many times, again, as businesses and organizations and leaders, there's so many things that are kind of popping up and happening that you have to really be very cognizant of how you're using your time because you can easily, I guess, lose that time or lose track of that time and what you're doing. And then, that's when the business starts to fall off the rails and all those things happen. But if you're very aware of how you're spending your time, you're being very strategic about it, it starts to really create an opportunity to build tremendous momentum.
Yes. It's called a task audit.
Yes, absolutely. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Yeah. So every time we take on a new client, one of the things that we want to find out and ask is what is their vision for their business? Where do they see themselves for their business? Is this something they want to build so they can pass on to their kids? Is it just something they just want to do to pay the bills, or is this something they're trying to reach something? And because you're putting all this hard work, and it's like if you're running a race and you're just running, but you have no end in sight, and you just keep running. You're like Forrest Gump, you just keep running till you're tired. But you have to have a specific place that you're trying to get to. And once we understand that, and we're doing the accounting, we're working with them, then we can plot points that they reach, because they're going somewhere. So, and they need to know that they're making progress to get there. So, us knowing that and finding that out, um, just as a business owner, you need to have some sort of vision. What are you building towards? If you don't have that, then what are you doing? So, I think that's the little nugget is just make sure when you have a business and you're doing something, you're working towards something, so that way you can measure your success and how you're getting there.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge. And this book that's literally staring at me right now, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the big habits is beginning with the end in mind. And I think so many times when we start businesses, or start really anything, sometimes we forget to have that North Star, so to speak, that
Mhm.
light, as you kind of spoke to, that we know how to follow. Because again, there's so many distractions, things that pop up and things that happen that it's so important that we make sure we understand our goals are, but we also want to make sure the people that we're working with understand that too, so we can figure out the best and most optimal way to get there.
Yes. Yeah. And I would say that because, when you're starting a business, I mean, you're putting in a lot of work, you're putting a lot of hours, you're sacrificing a lot of time away from your family. And there has to be a reason why you're doing it, and it has to be worth it. So if you're not working towards something, then you're not working it, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
You're just going in
you're
circles.
exactly. You're definitely the Forrest Gump of the business, which is what you're not trying to do.
Exactly. I was just running. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And so now I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So, Chris, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Oh man, being able to, I guess, the big one is being able to be a leader. But for me, it CEO for me it stands for change equals opportunity. So if you're leading and you can see something coming down the horizon and you need to make a change, and don't be afraid of it. Seize it as an opportunity. A lot of people get set in their ways, and this is how we've always done it, and this is how it always works. But there's always new things coming along. We're always evolving. So as a CEO, I mean, you have to be able to adapt to it. So that's why I think as CEO is, it stands for change equals opportunity.
Awesome. I absolutely love that acronym, especially during times like this where there's a tremendous amount of change that's happening. I think we can easily look at it as change equals problems, or CEP instead of CEO, but
Yeah.
that opportunity has so much power in it when we start to think about that, because even though there are changes and there are challenges at times, and there always will be, we know that there's opportunities amongst those. So we just have to figure out how best to get us to where we want to be. So I love and appreciate that definition.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's not hard, if it's like you just said, if it's not a challenge, it's not worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The saying goes, no pressure, no diamonds. So that's where you have that opportunity to really, bring about certain diamonds and opportunities, as we talked about. So Chris, truly appreciate that definition. I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Yeah, well, it's so weird because like 90% of our clients don't even realize we have a website. So, if you want to reach me, that's probably the easiest way. It's, www.ltwbooks.com. So that's an easy way to contact us, kind of get a little bit more information about what we do. And then, get some traffic to our website. Even though we mostly work off of referrals, we're a small community. We get busy pretty fast. So that's just the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Nice. Well, we'll definitely have the links and information in the show notes as well. To consider this a podcast referral if you hear it through from Chris. So hear Chris's episode and want to reach out to him. So it'll still be a referral either way. So Chris, truly appreciate that. Appreciate your time again, my friend, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
I appreciate it. Thank you.